Hello, welcome to Como Live, brought to you by the Legacy Amendment. My name is Bo, one of the horticulturists here at Como Zoo Conservatory. And a little bit about what I do is take care of a lot of the plants in the greenhouse here, and also some of the outdoor garden collections as well. So today I wanted to share with you a few plants that we have in our collection that are native to the Midwest and Minnesota specifically, that you might not expect to see growing here, but these are all naturally growing in this climate. So the first plant that I wanted to talk about was this Opuntia fragilis. So this is a prickly pear cactus that's native to Minnesota. So you might not expect to see cactus in Minnesota, but there's actually three native species of cactus in Minnesota. So Opuntia fragilis, its common name is the fragile prickly pear. So it gets its name from these pads that make up the stem of the cactus are really brittle and fall off really easily, but then they can root themselves up and form a kind of a clone of the parent plant, and it propagates itself that way, and they can actually form large mats like 2 to 3 feet wide of cactus that look like this. So it's a pretty small cactus. It only gets about 8 inches, 10 inches in height, and then it has a flower, about a 2-inch yellow flower that blooms. So it doesn't bloom consistently because this climate's kind of rough for it, but it does flower from time to time. So like I said, there's 2 other cactus that's native to Minnesota. Another one is a prickly pear as well, called the Western prickly pear. And then there's a pincushion cactus that's on the endangered list for the state. That's actually native to Minnesota too. So you'll find something like this growing in a sandy, open prairie, Minnesota. So it does like to stay really dry, so like a real kind of rocky, sandy environment in full sun. So during the winter, what this plant will do is just kind of get covered in snow and just kind of release some of its moisture so it doesn't freeze completely over the winter, and then just kind of come back in spring. So all these plants I'll be showing you are perennials. So the next plant that I'll show you is a carnivorous plant that's native to Minnesota. So when you think of carnivorous plants, most people probably think of Venus flytraps, and that's probably the most popular and well-known of carnivorous plants. But there's several species of North American pitcher plants that are native to mostly the southeastern United States, but this one grows up into Minnesota and into Canada. So the carnivorous plant, what it does is supplement its nutrition from growing in poor soils by digesting insects. And so this one is rather small, so it mostly collects smaller insects, terrestrial ones that are crawling around on the ground, and then they'll fall into this pitfall trap and get digested by the enzymes and liquids that are retained in the trap. So these are found in like really wet, boggy environments. So like a peat bog, Minnesota. So northern Minnesota, a lot of wetlands and peat bogs. So you'd find something like this growing in an environment like that. So this plant, it's pretty immature right now. So its mature size will probably get to about 6 to 8 inches. These little leaves here. So what this plant does is actually grows from a rhizome, which is a underground stem, then has a root system beneath that. So what you see here, these pictures are actually just modified leaves that are used for photosynthesis and for collecting these insects. So it's actually adapted to be able to do that. And again, like the other plant in Minnesota, this will die back and these leaves just kind of dry up, not completely. Some of them might stay a little green through the winter, but it's actually also covered in snow and goes dormant for the winter through that storage structure at the rhizomes, and then sends up a new set of leaves, which these pitchers again in the spring. So that's its full cycle. So it actually also flowers, sends up a flower stalk that it's actually bright red. It's pretty actually ornamental to a certain degree, and it hovers above the pitchers and has its own set of pollinators that pollinates it at a different time than when the pitchers open, so that's not eating its pollinators. So the timing of it is such, it's interesting. So it flowers before the pitchers open. So like I said, there's 8 other species of these pitcher plants in different degrees, but they're all native to North America and mostly the southeastern United States. And the last plant I'm showing you also looks like it should belong in a desert environment like the cactus. This is a yucca. It's native to the Midwest, so its range doesn't quite reach as far north as Minnesota, but southern Wisconsin grows up to, and its name is the Adam's needle. So it's a yucca filamentosus. So filamentosus is describing these little filaments, these little strands that come off the leaves. So in a landscape, this would get to about maybe 5 feet tall. It's kind of slow growing, but you'll also find something like this in a dry, kind of rocky environment. So when it matures, it sends up this flower stalk. So this is persistent from it flowering earlier in the season, but so it takes maybe about 4 or 5 years in this plant maturing to reach flowering stage. So it also has a rhizome system that you can divide and break off these pups and have new plantlets to propagate it too. So another neat feature. And these are actually kind of widely grown, and there's many cultivars of them that have different leaf colorations and striping on the leaves, so like variegated patterns and yellow and green and different colors of that. So and it is, even though it's not native to Minnesota, it's hardy and can be grown here and found in nurseries and garden centers in this area. So it's something else unique to be able to grow in a landscape, be able to take care of. So same kind of deal where this plant will not need a lot of water most of the year, and especially in winter, where it just kind of dries out and kind of goes dormant until the conditions are warm enough for it to start growing again. So these 3 plants I wanted to show you just kind of a small snippet of some interesting plants that will grow in Minnesota that people might not expect to see here in their comment, but just kind of gives a little overview of some of the plant diversity that can be found in this state, even though we're not known for having cactus and succulent plants generally, and a lot of arid desert looking plants. So just thought that's something interesting if people wanted to try growing plants like this in their home landscape. They're pretty low maintenance for the most part, and so yeah. Thanks for.
Question about?
Yeah, so we can hear for.
Did you find any of these plants as you're walking through the conservatory here at Como, or are they all behind the scenes right now?
For the most part, I believe these plants are all behind the scenes. I know we have a few of these pitcher plants, a different species, that are displayed in the children's garden. But apart from that, most of them are behind the scenes and used for educational purposes and things like that. So.
And I can ask one more question too.
Sure. Yep.
I'm curious, curious because you say that the pitcher plant is carnivorous and it eats insects. Is that what we feed it here what you would feed it here at Como too, or how do you take care of it?
Yep. So the eating of insects is more of a supplemental aspect for the plant, but it does actually catch a few small flies and things that fly into the greenhouse from time to time. So it does collect insects that way. We don't necessarily feed it insects, but it kind of grows on its own in just a peat sand soil that's well draining, which is enough to kind of keep it happy and persistent. But out in an outdoor environment, it would just naturally attract insects and kind of supplement its nutrition that way. So, yeah. So there you go. So, all right. Well, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Como Live. Have a great day.